Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Opportunity Live. Today, I'm Jeff Cohen, by the way. You probably know that. I've been here every day for the last 3 weeks. Or is it 4? You see, I'm losing track of time. I don't know if anyone else is, but it's just totally been like that. You know, you wind up staying home, and whether it's Saturday or Wednesday, you're still mostly doing the same things because you're at home. There's very little atmosphere change. Anyway, so yes, I'm going a little stir crazy. Really good at that today. But what makes the day go way better is I've got amazing people that join me on these broadcasts. And today I'm going to introduce you to someone you've met before, Mark Matsumoto of Insperity. Wave hi, Mark. And Remy Mraz of Me Time Network.
Hello.
And I'm going to share with you a little bit more about how they aim to make life in this immobile environment that we are in today bearable. And they actually have a plan, and they have tools, and they're there for us. So I just want you to know that. And before we go to them, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to share with you guys what's been going on with me. Because yesterday I said, hey, guess what? I got my advance check and I was so underwhelmed. Now, why would I be underwhelmed? I was only expecting to see a $10,000 advance check because that's what the government said was going to happen. I don't know if you guys all remember, but I filled out the disaster loan application 3 times. Yes, I did it when they came out with it right away. Then I did it again when they had you uploading documents. Then on March 31st, they came out with a whole new process, which, by the way, if you did not fill out on March 31st and you had filled out from an earlier time, then you'll never see anything. So if you haven't filled out the new process, which is all online, you've got to go to sba.gov and fill it out. Even though money is not available today, they're working on passing another extension of the programs. And if your business is hurting because of COVID-19 and quarantine, then you want to be part of it. So yesterday I got my $1,000 SBA stimulus advance. Now, for most companies, $10,000 is really not that noticeable. In fact, if you have 300 employees, it's pretty much just a rounding error. But if you got 3 to 5 employees, then $10,000 might actually help. Might mean that you can pay your employees something. So when they went to $1,000 per employee, now that $1,000 doesn't actually do a whole lot. If you actually do the math on it and you're using that money to pay payroll, so about 80% of that money is money you're going to be able to pay your employee. Because don't forget about all the employment taxes, and you know, I'll ask Mark to weigh in on that in a minute. But none of that actually works. If you're going to get $1,000 per employee, your employee might see $600 of it. Can you imagine? $600 might help about that much. But none of us really wants that money. What we want is we want money to keep our business rolling. We want to move our business forward. Having an employee get $600 out of an $1,000 check is not impactful. So I just want to let you know, I'm excited for when they change the rules. And if anybody needs some support around this and they want to talk, then I invite you to come and chat with us and learn a little more about what we're doing here. Send an email to me. My email address was up just a minute ago. Here, I'll pop it up again. And so you can see. And I invite you to definitely go ahead and, you know, like engage with us today. These guys that we are going to be talking with are amazing. They are like the brightest lights in the room. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you right now. So Mark has this incredible knack of knowing what you're going to say. I know it's hard to believe it, but Mark is literally a magician and he knows what you're going to say. And so, Mark, go ahead. I want you to. So, Mark Matsumoto with Insperity is going to talk with us a little about what Insperity is doing to help the hundreds of thousands of employees that they have on their payroll that report to companies just like yours. And Remy is going to talk a little bit about Me Time Networks and how her program can help employees be productive and employers ensure that their teams are supported. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But before we go there, go ahead, Mark. I want to highlight you for a minute, and I would love you to share with us a little bit about this this mind reading you're about to do.
All right. Well, so I am a magician. I do work at the Magic Castle, and I know Jeff will be showing my email address. So any friend of Jeff's is a friend of mine. So I appreciate being on the program here. If you want, you can email me and ask for a Magic Castle pass, and I will send that to you. But we're going to do a little magic effect here using this deck of cards. I'm going to keep it in full view. So we'll just do this one, Jeff. I think the other one maybe we'll save for another time. But this is not prepared. I'm going to have Jeff. Actually, we're going to reverse the order. We practiced this before. We tried this out, and this will be a completely different card that they're going to select. And this will actually help prove to them that I can do this anytime.
And
Remy,
Mark, I just want to say one thing.
Yep.
So we've got 9 people at the moment that are watching.
Yeah.
So why don't we give the first person that puts a comment in to answer your question, we'll go with theirs, okay?
Oh, perfect. Okay, so look, so I don't, know who's out there. Why doesn't somebody, here's the thing, I had a prediction, and what I did was I took one card out of this deck, I reversed it, and I put it back inside the deck of cards. I'm going to keep this out here like this. So the first person that puts in the comment section a card, go ahead and put in a value, so it could be, 7, and also the suit. I'm sorry, not the suit, but the suit. So 7 of hearts, right? Or 3 of diamonds. First person to throw out a playing card, we're going to use that card. And I'll wait for Jeff to kind of cue it up if he gets a card.
Okay, guys. So come on. We're looking for, and I know that Facebook, it runs a few seconds behind us. So I got that it may actually take something for someone to put a number on their keyboard and a suit. So we're going to give it another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, no one's commenting. And during that, we went from 9 viewers to 2 viewers. So Mark, look at what we just did. We just killed our viewership by asking them to contribute a card.
We scared them away.
Okay.
It's recorded, so I'll do this all with Remy, because this is the first time Remy and I have met. Remy, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and shout out any playing card. Free choice.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Queen of Hearts.
The Queen of Hearts. That's a great card. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this deck of cards and look. No funny moves, but I'm going to open this up just like this. You said the Queen of Hearts, yes?
Yeah.
All right, here I go. I'm going to go through these cards like this. And you'll notice that there is actually 1 card and 1 card only reversed in this deck. Again, that happens to be the Queen of Hearts.
Oh.
See how that works? All right. Could be any card. All right.
Okay, so you're such a good mind reader. Mark, tell us, what is going on with business today, and what is Insperity doing to have it move forward?
Yeah, no, so I appreciate that question, Jeff. I mean, I'll start with our mission statement. Our mission statement is to help businesses succeed so communities prosper. And I think when the crisis was happening, I almost reversed our mission statement in my own mind, was, to help communities prosper so businesses can succeed. And, it's one of those interesting things that have happened where, a health crisis has become a business problem, right? A financial problem. And, our CEO, Paul Sarvati, who founded the company, he's still, running the business at Insperity, 34 years later. Insperity started in 1986. Saw that we can really help with those two things, right? The health issues, the business problems, and obviously people want to get back to work. And so one of the things that we're talking to clients about and our prospects about is, how do they do that, right? We recognize that most people did not have a plan when the pandemic struck, but they should have a plan coming out of it, right? And this is where we can help. So, the three areas that we're really focusing on with our prospects and clients are safety, HR compliance, and productivity as they look to, kind of get things going again and try to get back to normal. And so what's unique about Insperity is we actually assign people that can help with those three areas. So we have a safety specialist that's assigned to every one of our clients. We have an HR specialist that's assigned to every one of our clients. And we have a performance specialist that's also assigned to each of our clients. So in the areas of safety, right, there's things that you have to pay attention to when it comes to OSHA guidelines. We do emphasize that right now OSHA is calling them guidelines. It's not regulation. They're, obviously best practices and things like that people should be, looking to do. And I've been talking to different clients of ours, seeing what they're doing. I just talked to one of our clients in Glendale. It's a financial firm, and they have masks that they're providing for all of their employees. And I said, "Are you wearing them in the office?" He says, "Of course, yes, we are." He says, "But when we're at our desks, we're okay with them not wearing their masks." So people are sort of, there's no book. Jeff and I, you and I were talking a little bit earlier. There's no book written on how to come back and how to go about things. The book's being written as we go along. Do you disinfect the workplace? How do you do that? Temperature checks. I think people are talking about those types of things. Travel, right? Travel restrictions.
Mark, a lot of these companies, they don't even know where to get supplies because their suppliers don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
One of my clients, we're getting ready to put a website up in the next couple of days so that companies can buy hand sanitizer by the case.
Uh-huh.
Because you just can't find it. And if you do find it, it's by the gallon. Well, that means you got to fill your own bottles, right? And then on top of that, it's like $70 a gallon, plus you got to pay for shipping on top of that for hand sanitizer. That's craziness.
Well, I mean, and I would say communication. So you bring up a good point, though, right? Is this is where communities really have to come together, right? And communication is key in trying to find supplies. I'm part of like a next door Magnolia Woods, kind of where I live, and people are saying, "Where can I get disposable gloves?" And people are answering relatively quickly and giving people some good answers. And places where you wouldn't know disposable gloves are being sold in these places. And I think that's that's important, is just to make sure you reach out to your community and ask for help and find out where you can get these things.
Mark, Shana's got a great question. She's curious if businesses are going to be required to clean on a regular basis when the employees are back at work, or are there any regulations or rules or best practices that you're hearing about that today?
Well, best practices. I mean, yes, I haven't necessarily heard about regulations, requirements, but best practices, yes. I think it's important. Again, communication is going to be key. So if like this business that I was talking to, they have a cleaning schedule that they maintain themselves, and they make sure it's published, right? And I think that's important for the comfort level of employees in terms of them wanting to come back, knowing that it is going to be cleaned on a regular basis. So whether that's somebody that you hire to do it, somebody on your staff that does the cleaning, or our office in Glendale, they have a cleaning crew that comes in, but we're going to make sure that gets published. So that's kind of our best practice, is just making sure people know when things are being sanitized, what's being cleaned is important too, right? You maybe want to know that the common areas are being cleaned more often than other places. And our building in Glendale has done a good job kind of letting us know what that schedule is and what they're cleaning and what they consider common areas, right? But it's all communication, I think, is the most important piece.
Hey, Mark.
Yep.
As we move this game forward, there's going to be a lot of changes, right? Even in the last 2 weeks since you were on last, there have been, right? As we're trying to move toward the new normal. Right now, the new normal is people working remotely, and there's been a lot of stressed out folks. They're getting cabin fever. There's stuff going on, and I want to introduce Remy into this conversation because Remy's company, Me Time Network, can help. So, Remy, why don't you share with us a little bit about what you guys do, and then we'll open it back up to the conversation.
So Me Time, well, first of all, thanks for having me on board. Me Time is on a mission to help employees think, feel, and we're doing that through a behavioral health platform. It's a web and mobile application that helps employees, empowers them to self-manage emotional stressors that they are experiencing either at work or in their personal life in real time. And we're doing this through engaging video content and interactive exercises. That's all what we call snackable, super short videos and exercises that feature therapists and life coaches and
Awesome.
self-improvement experts. So if you are an employer, an HR decision maker, a leader within an organization, we hit 3 buttons within your organization. It's going to be the wellness, mental health aspect, learning and development, and also talent management. So the content that we're producing addresses various categories within those 3 buckets, and then also issues that people might be experiencing at home and bringing into the workplace. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but when we were launching Me Time, or I was in ideation of Me Time, and I started doing the research, from my own personal background, I've walked in the shoes as the employee, the leader, and now the business owner, right? So I've seen it, how people show up in different capacities, and I've been that person too. But what I found was that people would come to work stressed out, but wouldn't necessarily take advantage of some of the offerings, the EAP programs, or even your health insurance, and go see a therapist. Or maybe companies didn't necessarily have the resources to do professional development, to do the training piece. And when I started talking to friends who own businesses, even my own bosses throughout my career, I would ask them, what's your number one headache? And I'd ask my customers that too. So what's your number one headache today? And they would all say the same thing: people. People bring their problems to work, and I spend more time managing people and their problems, versus the business. So when I started doing the research, I came across this unbelievable statistic that by the year 2028, businesses globally will be affected to the tune of $16 trillion in lost productivity costs due to stress and mental health issues.
Hey, Remy, I think that happened this month.
Yeah, exactly. That's pre-COVID. And now think about what's happening in the world today. Those numbers are going to be outrageous. And when you trickle the number down to an individual business, how it's affecting a U.S. business today, employers are losing annually over $5,500 per employee due to presenteeism. So people will show up sick or stressed out or anxious and not really present in doing their job. And that has an effect on the business, let alone the employee and their health. So what we're do is curb that.
Yeah, there's something that comes to mind when you bring it up. I was talking with my son, who's in the film industry, and he's working from home for his company. And what's really clear to me is that something that's really missing is he can take initiative to do his job.
Mm-hmm.
But what's happened is so many people have found themselves going, working from home.
Yes.
And it's different because they can't walk around to the desk where their boss is 3 feet away, or meet up with someone at the coffee pot or water cooler to have a conversation. And they're not used to being on the phone, on Zoom meetings and other conversation mediums the same way as they would an in-person conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And management at some point is going to get frustrated, in my opinion. Yeah. And I can see them being frustrated because they're not actually effective having their employees do work that makes a difference in the business during this period.
Mhm.
I'm curious, is there anything you could weigh in on it? I mean, that's the environment your team is in. Talk to employers all day long that are in that same position, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of going through it ourselves, sort of how do you hold people accountable to activity? So letting people know what you expect, and then just having an agreement on how they want to be best held accountable. I think, and I think it's okay as a leader, business owner, to ask your people, what's the best way you want to be held accountable? So they have a say in it. But I love what Remy's talking about in terms of the mental health, the stress. I mean, I've been highlighting that from the beginning. I mean, I felt it early on for myself, and I'm sure a lot of people are feeling it now. And, while things seem to be, kind of getting on a track that we're going to start reopening, I mean, it could potentially be even more stressful, especially if that communication's not there and we run into issues around expectations and then again, accountability. I mean, I think those,
Well,
in a work environment, that's the most stressful thing I think that I'm dealing with, and I know my direct reports are dealing with.
you brought a really good point up about accountability, Mark, and I'll just say this about that. In most organizations, accountability is usually something that a manager says you are accountable for. But what you just said here today is incredible, because what you said was you asked the employee how they want to be held accountable or what they want to be held accountable for. Create that agreement. Now, you can always, as a manager, say, no, that's actually not what your job is, or what I really need is, and have them, understand in a conversation, hey, look, I got you want to be accountable for X, but Y is your job, right? And having a way to track that on a weekly basis and a weekly meeting to review that, where there's nothing wrong, but you actually get to look at, hey, these were your priorities this week, so I'm assuming those were the ones that we agreed you were accountable to. You did those or you did others. There's a conversation you can have, because a lot of times when you don't have that conversation, we all know the employee will continue to go down whatever path they're going down and stray farther from home. So I just want to really thank you, Mark, for bringing accountability into the conversation. Remy, what do you hear inside of all that?
Yes, there's the accountability factor, but there's something that I've been hearing from business owners as well as employees, and something else that they're saying is that and you mentioned earlier that people aren't maybe used to working from home, right? And also there's actually people who are even busier now than they were when they were working, because, and I'll just give you an example that I heard. When I would have 3 meetings a day, because in LA with traffic, that's what you could schedule. And so you would have some time to yourself, maybe in the traveling aspect, or you might be meeting socially, having a business meeting over lunch or that kind of thing. But now, because of Zoom or whatever video, hosting service you're using to have meetings, people are scheduling meetings back to back to back. So they're not taking that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Right? So more stress, more anxiety. Now, if you throw in, say, someone who's married and with kids, and you have all of that dynamic happening in the background or behind doors, and you're trying to conduct business and you're scheduling more business, So
Yeah.
the normal is different, right? Very, very different, but creating more stress and anxiety. And so when you talk about accountability, for me, accountability is, part of what we're preaching at Me Time. It's to take the me time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be hours at a time. It can just literally be minutes of your day. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes there, implementing something called the Pomodoro productivity method, where you work for 20 minutes and you break for 5. And you do those, throughout the day, and maybe do one long spurt that's maybe an hour and 15 minutes, and then break, for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So doing things like that, really simple, tools that are out there that, or exercises that you can do to give your mind the mental break and a little bit of peace and rejuvenation to get you back to being productive and being mindful of the scheduling of your time. You have to be really mindful of your scheduling.
Love it. And I don't know if you saw the comment that Shana made a minute ago, but it's like there are a lot of teachers getting burned out. They're just not used to teaching all these hours on Zoom. I think that's exactly what you were pointing at, Remy.
Right.
Hey, listen, as we get ready to wrap up, I just want to check in and give you guys an opportunity for the last word today. So, Mark, why don't we start with you? Like, what do you want to share with people and leave them with today?
Just I know things will start to normalize, and we're going to get back, to doing what we do best, as a community, as businesses. It's going to happen, but it has to happen with a plan. I think this is the time to start focusing on what your plan is to kind of get things back up and running, moving in the right direction. And there's no playbook. Don't be stressed that you don't have all the answers, because I don't, and I have to tell myself that every day. I did like the conversation we're having here with Remy. She's making me think about other best practices that I've heard in terms of scheduling that me time. I think that's really important. Definitely, I've heard of people actually setting their watches to go off every hour so that they remember to maybe take 1 minute to be thankful or reflective or meditate or whatnot, right? So their alarms go off every hour so that they remember to do that. I thought that was a really good best practice to kind of capture that me time. But I think, hey, just take it day by day and we'll get there. And I appreciate forums like this, Jeff, just trying to, have a conversation going about, just getting better and learning as much as we can. So
awesome. And Remy, what do you want to leave people with today?
I think that's the importance of taking care of yourself, that self-care, taking the me time for not only your physical health and nourishment of your body and what you put into it, but also your emotional health, your mental health. And I actually have a list of daily quarantine questions that you can ask yourself every day and to help put you in this state. And I'll just give them to you real quick. Number 1, what am I grateful for today? Number 2, who am I checking in on or connecting with today? 3, what expectations of normal am I letting go of today? 4, how am I getting outside today? Number 5, how am I moving my body? And number 6, what beauty am I either creating, cultivating, or inviting in today?
Love it. So,
awesome.
Remy, would you do me a favor when this ends? Can you post that to the comments, because that is going to make a big difference for people.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say, listen, we are all a resource for you, for everybody that's joined us today and is watching, or is doing a watch party to share this. Everybody here is a resource for you. Everything that Mark said about what Insperity is doing, everything that Me Time is doing and Remy is leading in Me Time, it's there for you. Let's get everybody connected so that we can make an enormous difference in the world together while we get through these crazy times that we're in. And for Mark and for Remy, this is Jeff Cohen. It's been a real pleasure having you guys with us today, and I'll look forward to talking with you again tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.